Hello, this is another movie in a series of movies going through the different aspects and rules of Pandemic in terms of setting up and how to play. This one is specifically on the other phases within a play round. So the first one was one player plays 4 actions. After a singular player does their 4 actions, then that player draws 2 cards and puts them in their hand. Now we see here, okay, we got a normal city card, and that will go to the person's hand, but we also have an epidemic. Okay. So when I incur an epidemic, there's a couple of actions I need to follow. If I read the card, the first thing says increase. Move the infection rate marker 1 forward space. Okay, so this is the infection rate marker. I move it up 1 space. Okay, and in terms of the infection rate, that will also be discussed in this movie. Infect. Draw the bottom card from the infection deck and put 3 cubes on that city. Discard that city. Okay, so from the infection deck, I pull from the bottom. In this case, Sao Paulo is infected. So I identify Sao Paulo and I put 3 disease cubes in there. Intensify. Shuffle the cards in the infection discard pile and put them on top of the infection deck. So I take the discard pile, do a light shuffle. Place them on top. I don't shuffle them into the deck, I just place them on top of the deck. And then that's over. So now over here it describes each round. So for each player is going to do 4 actions, draw 2 cards, and infect cities. Then the next player is going to do 4 actions, draw 2 cards, infect cities. You'll see there's 2 notes in here. Resolve any epidemics, we just did that, and discard to 7 cards. The maximum amount of cards you can have in your hand is 7. So if you have 8, you must discard 1. Yeah. The next phase is infect cities. So I look at my infection rate, in this case it's 2, and that's how many cards I'm going to draw from the top of this pile. If I was over here on 4, I draw 4 different cities. Okay. Now you noticed when we did the intensify stage, I even reshuffled the Sao Paulo card. It's very possible that Sao Paulo could be one of the cities infected. So in this case, I have Beijing and I have Kinshasa. Okay. For each one, I place 1 cube of the corresponding color. So Beijing is red. I put one red in Beijing, and Kinshasa is yellow. I put 1 in Kinshasa. Okay. The round is over. Play continues on with the 4th person. Now, let's say that Sao Paulo was the city drawn. So let's say instead of Kinshasa and Beijing, it was Beijing and Sao Paulo. Okay. I go to put 1 in Sao Paulo, but any town that has 3 cubes is considered saturated. A town cannot have more than 3 cubes. As soon as the game makes me put a cube on a town with 3 cubes, it triggers what's called an outbreak. And a number of things happen on an outbreak. First, I move the outbreak marker down 1. Okay? If I ever hit the little skull, I'm dead. Okay. Next, I take whatever color in the origin city and I infect every neighboring town with that color. So I put a yellow in Madrid, a yellow in Lagos, a yellow in Bogota, and a yellow in Buenos Aires. And you notice here, oh, Well, the game told me to put a cube on there, but I already have 3. Does that trigger an outbreak? Yes, it triggers an outbreak. Okay. So it's going to trigger a second outbreak. Now, because they're next to each other, they don't just keep ping-ponging back each other. If Sao Paulo is the original outbreak initiator, you're not going to trigger a second outbreak on Sao Paulo. So I look at Buenos Aires and all touching Sao Paulo, but that's the one that initially triggered the outbreak. But I also do Bogota. So 2 went into Bogota. And if there was already 2 in Bogota, that would trigger a third one, and so on and so forth. Okay, but it only triggered 2. Let's see here. So those are the other phases of the game.